Man, what happened to you, Quagmire? You were such a funny character. Hey guys! Hey, this is Dasho Rose here. I am back to do another thoughts and theories on a character and its downfall. This time we're going to be looking at Quagmire from Family Guy. But before I do that, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. So make sure you guys hit the notification too, so you guys will be notified for future videos. And I don't have really anything else to say, so let's go ahead and talk about the downfall of Glenn Quagmire. Quagmire. If you guys don't know who Quagmire is a character from Family Guy that appears in almost every episode. Almost every episode, this guy is in it. Now, in the newer seasons, I noticed he seems to be in every episode, but yeah, at least almost every episode. But in the earlier seasons, he was not in every episode. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about Quagmire's downfall. So, how did this guy go from being a funny, well-known guy to the guy we know and hate today? Well, let's talk about it. So, before we talk about Quagmire himself, we need to go back to the very start of Family Guy. The very start of it, the pilot. Believe it or not, this guy in the red shirt here by Peter, this guy is Quagmire. This guy's Quagmire. Now, if you guys don't know the pilot of Family Guy, a lot of the characters look different because, it's a pilot. That goes for other shows too. A lot of the pilot episodes, the characters seem to look a little bit different. No, not all of them, I think SpongeBob, a lot of the characters looked the same. But even its pilot was a bit different than the final version. Here though, Quagmire, it looks a lot different. His chin is a lot smaller. He doesn't have as pointy as a nose. And he doesn't have his Hawaiian shirt on. It's just a red shirt. But unlike, the Griffin family, where they all look the same, and Mr. Weed, because Mr. Weed's in the pilot too, Peter's old boss from, the first couple seasons, Quagmire actually looks completely different. I mean, some of the characters like Mr. Weed, Lois, and Meg look different, but you still can recognize them. You guys cannot recognize Quagmire in the pilot. He looks completely different. The only thing that's really the same about him is his, personality and his voice. He looks completely different. Like, he looks like a completely different character. But this is what Quagmire looks like. But, after the pilot came out, they ended up changing the way Quagmire looks. So by the time the final episode came out, this is what the Quagmire we all know and love today. Well, I wouldn't say today, because, like I said, he's had some problems now, but this is, the Quagmire we all know today. This is, Glenn Quagmire himself. This is the first episode he appeared in, was Death Has a Shadow, which was the pilot episode too. And he was one of the very first friends we'll see of Peter's that we see throughout the show. Later, we'll get introduced to Cleveland. Well, Cleveland's in the background, and I think he might be the same guy who's at the front door. One of the guys who shows up at Peter's door when Peter talks about how he has a thing that can tell if his kids are messing with his thermostat or something. But that could be a different guy, but he looks a lot like Cleveland. He just has a different voice. But Quagmire is officially the first character we actually see of Peter's friends. If you don't count the guy who looks like Cleveland by Peter's house, because again, that was a joke, and I'm not sure if I'm not sure if that was supposed to be Cleveland or not. It might have been. It's just he may have a different voice. But Quagmire's the first character we full-fledged get to see here. And Quagmire is known for his sexy jokes. He's known for, being a sex pervert. Now, personally, guys, I like Quagmire, but I don't like him harassing and raping women that much. I feel like, that makes him kind of a bad guy, if you think about it, because he's supposed to be one of the main characters, and it makes him kind of a bad guy when he's raping women and stuff. Now, I know there's other characters like Carter Peterson, who appears in like season 2, who's a bad guy and all that, but Quagmire, I think they go a little too far with him being a sex pervert and all that, where he's chasing women around, not wearing condoms and screwing women over with kids and stuff. But I do like his sexy jokes. Like, they make a lot of jokes about Quagmire, being a sex pervert, and I like that. I do like the jokes. I just think, making him a sex pervert is kind of, I don't mind him sweeping with women and stuff, like, off screen and stuff, but I think, making him actually screw over women and stuff, I think it's taking the joke a bit too far, in my opinion. But overall, though, I think Quagmire is still a really well-known character for the earlier seasons. He's still very funny, despite, him, getting screwing over women. I know people are split on that because of that reason, because of the screwing women over thing, and I can agree with that. I totally agree. I think, I think he shouldn't be, I think they should have took that out of there, but I think him hooking up with him being a ladies' man and hooking up with sleeping with all these gals and stuff, that's funny. That makes it funny, but again, not wearing condoms and screwing over women and raping them, that's taking it a little too far. So, yeah, you guys kind of know Quagmire's jokes. For people who've seen Family Guy and people who haven't, well, that's basically what he is. He's a sex pervert. And again, I think they take it a little too far, but I think, him having a thing for sleeping with tons of women, I think that's fine and all that, but that's just my, a personal opinion here. But Quagmire's personality would actually stay like this for quite a while. It really would. It would stay like this for several seasons, where he basically he even has a thing for Lois. He secretly has a thing for Lois, which I like. I like how they make jokes about that too. I think it's funny, I think it's funny, when they make jokes about it. It makes him kind of a creep, but in a funny way, where he has an obsession with Lois. They don't make it, very disturbing. They make it kind of funny, and I really like that a lot. Personally, I think that's pretty funny. But, this is not the only trait a Quagmire will see, because in the episode 420, we'll see Quagmire have his first cat. Yes, this is the episode from season 7, season 7, where Quagmire gets his very first cat. And here's where we start seeing him, change a bit. They start giving him a hobby, because here's the thing. Before that, he was mostly used as a joke. He can be funny too, like we know he's a pilot and all that, but he's mostly used as a joke. Like, he's used as a joke. He doesn't really have a much of a personality, but I do like how they give him a cat. This is something I really like that they did. Now, unfortunately, Peter kills his cat, a very very brutal and painfully looking way by cutting him with a knife, by trying to shave him. I'd rather not go into too much detail, but I kind of did, and it's pretty sad. But that's what Peter does, and meanwhile, Brian gets arrested, by Pop. We're not going to talk about the episode itself. We're just talking about Quagmire. But I do really like this concept. I like this. this is something that we get to see. Quagmire has a thing for cats, and I like that. I like that a lot. I like, seeing Quagmire having all these cats throughout the show. Now, personally, it's not really my favorite, thing Quagmire does, because personally, it's not very funny. You can't really do that many jokes with it, where his obsession with gals and sex and Lois, you can see him, he has more of a jokes you can tell with him. You can't really tell jokes with Quagmire with cats that much. So, yeah, unfortunately, the cat thing, I think it's a good idea. It's good to give him an obsession with cats. But I personally think, him like sleeping with women and, making dirty jokes, I think that's more funny. But that's just my opinion. Now we're gonna get on to another a personality that Quagmire has. And personally, this one I absolutely despise. This is the moment where in season 8, which is the very next season after we get introduced to Quagmire liking cats, we get introduced to Quagmire hating Brian. Why does he hate Brian? Well, apparently it's because of, the same crap he does. Like, he hits on his best friend's wife, like Quagmire does. He screws women over. He likes them for their bodies, like Quagmire does. Basically, he's blaming Brian for a lot of crap he does. And personally, I know you're supposed to be, Quagmire, you want Quagmire to be better and all that too, but personally, that's Quagmire's character. That's what makes him, funny. I'm personally, like I said, I'm not a big fan of him, the part where he screws over women and rapes them, but I don't mind him, being this ladies guy who's obsessed with Lois and all that. I don't mind that Quagmire, but I hate how he points all this shit out that Brian does when he does the exact same thing. And we're talking about this guy who screws women over, Brian doesn't even do that. So, yeah, it's kind of a stupid thing. This trend even goes on today. It goes on today, and I hate that because there's no joke to it, and it's not funny. It shows you how bad Brian has gotten and all that, and I could go on to more detail about this, but I've already made a video on this. I've already made one on this topic, but I still agree what I've said in that video, but I don't like the concept of Brian, and Quagmire hating each other. I think that's just stupid. It leads to a lot of really bad episodes. Not some of probably the worst of the series, but some pretty bad ones, and I don't like that. And then we get, to what Quagmire is today, which is from season 21. And I gotta say, this is where probably the biggest downfall, in my opinion, comes with Quagmire. You guys know how Quagmire loves sex and has his, I didn't mention his catchy phrase where he says, giggity giddy. I can't say that. It's like a tongue twister. I can't say that. But Quagmire has that catchy phrase, and he says, oh, all right, Well, basically, in season 21, I'm not sure if it was like this in season 22, but I know in season 21, they completely freaking removed this from history. I don't think I've seen once in season 21 where Quagmire says this catchy phrase or has this sex personality. I don't see that at all in this season. I could be wrong. He could have done it a little bit, but I have hardly seen that at all. I've hardly seen that at all. And this is someone who's freaking watched every episode of this damn season just to determine if Family Guy, has gotten better or not. And basically Quagmire just became this boring character. He just became boring as hell. Basically, all he does now is bitch and freaking get aggravated by everything. And they freaking removed his sex personality, which I fucking hate. I really do hate this a lot. I really do. And I know that they were trying to make a point that Brian is a bad character and Quagmire is supposed to be the good guy. That's probably why they changed that. And not only that, but people probably complained about Quagmire and, him raping women and stuff. But that was his personality. For people who've complained about Quagmire raping women, they could have taken that crap out, but could have still made him where he's hooking up with tons of women, and, he still kind of does that in season 21, but they freaking remove all the sex jokes that made him funny, and freaking made him this boring old man who freaking bitches and complains about everything, which I freaking hate. I really hate this. I really do. He's basically just pushed to the side. He's got nothing really to do with the episodes anymore. I mean, there's one episode I really do like where Stewie accidentally goes inside, Quagmire's suitcase, and he's on the plane with him, and they spend the time together. I like that a lot. That's really good. That was actually a really good episode, and I liked it. Well, I don't think it was fantastic. I think the Lois and Peter stuff was kind of, dull and boring, at least what I remember. I could do a review on the episode down the road if I wanted to, but my point is the Quagmire stuff was still good. But it's not great, because, again, they took away what made Quagmire so great. That's the problem with a lot of these freaking characters on the show. They freaking got rid of what made them so unique in the first place. And giving him an obsession with cats, I'm fine with. But making him hate Brian, making him hate Brian, even though he does the same crap Brian does, and turning around and basically removing his sex personalities and stuff, basically trying to get people to, point out that, that Quagmire is better than Brian because he's not doing the stuff Brian does. It doesn't make him a better character. It ruins his character because the whole point of Quagmire was he was supposed to like sex. That was his personality. But he doesn't like sex anymore. He kind of still has things for women, but they don't really, again, they don't go into detail about it anymore. They pretty much have nerfed his character down a lot, and it's bad. It is bad. It's not awful. Believe me, some of these character developments that they did completely, changed and destroyed on this show, Quagmire is not even close, but it's still bad, because although, like I said, I don't like Quagmire screwing women over and all that, I liked him having this sexy, personality, and this sexy personality who didn't bitch and complain about everything. It wasn't grumpy all the time by the stupidest things, by getting annoyed, and actually had a good relationship with Brian. That's the character I liked. So yeah, unfortunately, after season 8, well, actually, after season 7, I meant to say, this show definitely pretty much destroyed Quagmire's personality. They still had some sex jokes with him after season 8, but they started making him more of a boring man who gets annoyed by everything and not as much of a funny guy, which is a shame. Because he was once a great character, and I liked him a lot. Unfortunately, Quagmire, along with the other characters, has become just so stale over the years. I think part of the problem is Family Guy is just running out of ideas to do with Quagmire too. That's probably not helping. Because I don't think a lot of people probably complained about Quagmire too much. I think they're just running out of ideas. That's why there's no cutaway gags really on the show anymore, because Family Guy is running out of ideas. Because this show should have been canceled years ago, but it's still going on now. Now, again, I don't think Quagmire is the worst character on the show. Believe me, there's some characters that have gotten worse, but I don't think he's awful. I don't think he's gotten, awful. He's just boring now. He's just freaking boring. I don't care about him anymore. Along with the other characters, I just don't care about him anymore. It's a shame, too, because he was once a great character. But I don't know what to say here. I know this video is kind of short, but I don't have a lot to say about Quagmire, especially because I already made a video talking about, him and Brian's relationship and how it sucks. So I don't really know what else to really say here, but I'm probably going to go ahead and let this go, though. This video was short, but remember, guys, Quagmire will always be well known in our hearts from the earlier seasons. Even though Quagmire is boring now, we can always look back at his sexy personality and all that in the earlier seasons. Anywho, see you guys later. Bye-bye. Also, remember, if you guys are interested in reviews and other stuff, I also did reviews on Family Guy. So check those out if you guys want. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye-bye.